Altheris, there are states that a lot of humans aspire towards, one being consciousness, another being freedom, and of course we're talking a lot about happiness at this point. I wonder if you could explain to us how they're related and how perhaps we can move from one to another, starting with consciousness.
Well, consciousness itself is the highest state of being. It is the totality of oneness. That is where everything is contained. Consciousness is first and foremost what is occurring in the present moment. And it is occurring in the present moment each and every time the present moment presents itself. It does not occur in the past because that has gone. It does not occur in the future because it is not yet created, but occurs in the present moment. Consciousness only exists in the present moment. So what you need to then understand is, well, what is consciousness? What is within consciousness? What is it? So consciousness itself is an energy. Consciousness itself is a freedom. It is a smooth flowing of energy. It is not connected to anything. It is not attached to anything. It does not judge anything. It is simply what it is. It is that is, only can be. Of course, then what occurs from that freedom is a sense of happiness, because what arises within the freedom is that humanity is part of that which is freedom, and freedom, of course, is that which is consciousness. So humanity is a vibrational frequency that starts at one point when humanity comes into existence and ends at another point when humanity dissolves out of existence. But within that, because it is contained within the totality of consciousness, which in itself, as we have said, is freedom from all judgment, then happiness arises for humanity, and that becomes the base point, if you wish to use that word, or it becomes the starting point from where all individuals, or where humanity itself comes from. So you are consciousness, you are also freedom, and you are also happiness. And within the context of that, you can say that consciousness, freedom, and happiness equals love, because that is what it is. It is the combination of those frequencies that creates that love frequency, or that love sense, which is the totality of consciousness, or the totality also of that which is humanity. Then what occurs is when you step outside of that, you begin what you might say is to live life. And of course, through living life, you as ego, the story of who you are, creates judgment, creates attachment, and creates unhappiness, or creates depression. But at the same time, as we have said in previous audios, that when you remove yourself from the experience of that which causes you unhappiness, that which causes you depression, then you are moving back into oneness, you are moving back into love, you are moving back into happiness, freedom, and consciousness, because that is where you come from. It is not a question of, which many people seem to think, that they have to seek consciousness, they have to seek ways of being in the world, freedom or happiness. They do not realize that they already are it, and that it is only what they have created as their life that is covering or hiding that aspect of themselves.
I wonder if you could explain a little bit about, you spoke earlier about humanity coming into existence at one level and ceasing to exist at another. Can you explain that in relationship to consciousness?
Well, consciousness is the infinite range of vibrational frequency, from the infinite low to the infinite high. That is the only way we can explain it to you in what is the language that humanity has adopted. But there is no upper frequency range, it simply continues on, and there is no lower frequency range where it stops, it just simply continues. So what is happening when you understand humanity as a vibrational frequency fits within the infinite range of that which is the infinite vibrational frequency. But humanity starts at a particular point where a human being, as you have deemed to call yourself, is recognized as being a human being. There, of course, you can apply that to trees or plants or whatever it is, sea life, it is all part of the frequency that humanity can recognize. So it is at the same vibrational frequency, but humanity starts at one vibrational frequency and ends at another. And within that, humanity exists and has the experiences that it has.
So each species has a different frequency.
It has a different frequency, but for instance, humanity starts at, for instance, 0 as an example, and ends at 100. Of course, this is an example. That is the range of humanity. Of course, dolphins, which are a sea creature, may have a vibrational frequency of 49 and end at 53, for instance, but they are still within the range of that which is humanity's vibrational frequency, which enables you to interact and be aware of dolphins that exist within the world of humanity.
So if humanity is made up of a variety of, or a range of frequencies, how, for example, can we distinguish different emotions within that frequency range?
Well, emotions themselves are vibrational frequencies within the range of humanity's vibrational frequency. So when you are sensing, because you are a transmitter and you are a receiver of vibrational frequency, and you have the ability to interpret and filter that which are different vibrational frequencies and then translate it into that which is your way of being in the world, that which the ego itself can utilize, so it knows when there is happiness, or it knows when there is sadness, it knows when there is depression, or it knows when there is joy. It utilizes the different emotional vibrational frequencies to make a judgment on whether or not it is doing well in terms of maintaining the body in a physical state for the universe to witness itself. So what is important is that you, the observer, total consciousness, which is outside of that which is humanity, and this is where it gets a little bit complex, but you are the totality of the infinite range of vibrational frequencies. But at this particular moment in your present nowness, you choose to remain within that which is the vibrational frequency of humanity, but also within that which is humanity, you choose to remain within that which is the vibrational frequency of your individuality. So each individual human being on this planet has a slightly different vibrational frequency at which they operate. Though what is important to understand is that happiness is a single vibrational frequency, that depression is a single vibrational frequency, but related to that which is within the vibrational frequency of your own individual range. So what we have said previously is that happiness extends to infiniteness, is part of infinite consciousness, but is also achievable, recognizable at your own individual level, even though you might think it is simply your own happiness. The happiness that you experience is the happiness of consciousness in its totality.
That sounds rather wonderful.
What is important, though, also to understand is this is perhaps sometimes beyond people's understanding. That is the way that it is, and it is not, for instance, what most human beings choose to focus their attention on because of how they are distracted on a day-to-day basis in maintaining their own vibrational frequency range, because of fear, perhaps, of not surviving. But when that fear is not evident, then they move back to that which is the natural state of love, that which is the natural state of happiness, that which is the natural state of consciousness at the level of the individual, but within the individual vibrational frequency range. It is only through practice, it is only through awareness that you can move up a vibrational frequency range or move down the vibrational frequency range, depending on what you desire to learn, what you desire to experience, being a human being at this particular moment in time. Of course, the ultimate question is what happens after the end of humanity's vibrational frequency range.
I was going to ask that.
What occurs is that you are no longer human beings. You become universal energies. And of course, you return to that which is the energetic consciousness of the universe for that fraction of a vibrational frequency which is between that of humanity and that which is perhaps the next stage. So what you can then do is review what has occurred within your experience of humanity, and consciously, depending on the nature of your own vibrational frequency, whether you're positive, negative or neutral, or whether there is other things that you need to revisit in terms of the flow of your energy, you may desire to move back to that which is within the humanity range to experience something else. But if that is not your desire, then you may choose something else in terms of a way of being, of existing as a universal energy that moves around the universe, balancing other civilizations, for instance.
Presumably you could therefore consciously become part of a civilization that is operating at a higher frequency. Are there many of those in existence?
There are vast amounts of civilizations that are resonating or vibrating at a frequency higher than humanity. Of course, there are those, we would say, that are vibrating at a lower frequency to humanity. And it is a matter of the desire that you have. From an energetic perspective, of course, it is consciousness. And when you perceive this particular state, you will not be in a thinking mode. It will be a natural draw of energy as to where you desire to go next.
Presumably the sole purpose, whilst incarnate, would be therefore to raise your vibrational frequency whilst in the human body to the highest level possible in order to allow that flow to occur at that high level.
Well, that is the purpose of life, is to understand your vibrational frequency as to where you are, what you are responsible for, what you have attracted as your life, and to decide whether that is what you want or whether you want to have something different. And it is through the understanding and changing of your vibrational frequency that creates the different way, the different experience of being in the world, both at an individual level but also at a global level. But also then outside of that, when you understand that you are what you are, a vibrational frequency, when you leave that, the vibrational frequency of humanity, you can then decide whether or not you wish to experience something of a higher vibrational frequency, or go back to that which was the human life and exist and have another human existence.
Wow, exciting thoughts, and certainly a new goal perhaps for each of us to focus upon as we become more and more consciously aware of everything that we're experiencing in all aspects of our life. Thank you, Altheris.
You're welcome.